Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Friday. Glad you're here. Today's Red Mic message is all about red things. What do I mean by that? Well, going to talk about my hometown a little bit. And when people talk about Wichita Falls, when they think about it, a few names come to mind. Dr. Phil lived there, practiced there. Governor Greg Abbott was born there. Former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Broadway legend Tommy Tune, Senator John Tower, Mia Hamm, soccer phenom, spent part of her childhood there while her dad was stationed at Shepherd Air Force Base. It's not a bad list for a town of about 100,000 people. But I've got a theory. I think Wichita Falls' greatest export may be none of the above. I think it might be a beer, more specifically, a red draw. Now, before half of you jump into the comments, let me explain. A red draw is not a michelada. I repeat, a red draw is not a michelada. A michelada is what happens when somebody starts with a perfectly good beer and decides it needs 17 more ingredients. It's like trying to make a beer Bloody Mary. No, it's not that. A red draw is simple. You take an ice cold frosty mug, you put in a couple of fingers of tomato juice, and then you top it off with a cold lager. Traditionally Budweiser, but some folks have strong opinions about that. That's it. No hot sauce, no Worcestershire sauce, no celery salt, no tahine, no bacon, no shrimp, no tiny cheeseburger balanced on the top. Just tomato juice and beer. Simple, refreshing, and wonderful. Now, if you're from Wichita Falls, you know that we've got a thing for red things. We got the Red River just north of town. We got red dirt all over Texoma. In fact, funny thing about red dirt, when it blows up into the atmosphere, it filters out red stuff and then the sky turns green. It's kind of eerie. And we've also got red draws. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot. We have red tacos at Casa Manana. I like red tacos so much that I actually have taken Texas Monthly to task and got a letter printed reminding them that, you know what, when you do an article about tacos, I mean, they did an entire magazine about tacos. If you don't mention the red tacos in Wichita Falls, you're missing out. So, red draws, red tacos, red river, red dirt. At some point, Wichita Falls looked around and collectively decided, well, we need more red. The red river makes sense. Red dirt makes sense. Red tacos even make sense. But the red draw, well, I think that one needs a little bit more explanation. But if you're keeping score at home, Wichita Falls may be the only place in America where you can spend the day near the Red River, listening to red dirt music, eating red tacos at Casa Manana, and wash it all down with a red draw. Because I'll tell you, you can't find those red tacos everywhere. In fact, I've not found them anywhere but Wichita Falls. And I miss them. There's a lot of things that I don't miss about my hometown, but man, I miss red tacos, man. Now, where was the red draw invented? Now, that depends on who you ask. Some folks swear it was invented at P2, also known and probably better known as the Deuce. Others insisted it started at the old Bar L Drive-In. Man, I miss that place. Been out of business for years. The truth is probably lost to history, but both places shared something unusual. For years, they were among the last places in the entire state where you could pull up in your vehicle, order a beer, and a car hop would bring it to you and you would drink it in your car. Again, think about that. You order a beer and a car hop brings it to you and you drink it in your car. It's kind of bizarre, right? Different times, different rules, different part of Texas. The Deuce is still there. Like I said, the Bar L is gone, but the Red Draw lives on. Now, there's a local TV personality here in the Austin area, goes by the name The Day Tripper. Well, he went to Wichita Falls and he tried red tacos and he tried a red draw. He seemed to like both of them. But the funny thing is, where red draws still show up today, every now and then somebody will say that they got one in Arizona or Florida or Ohio or Minneapolis, some VFW hall way across the country. When you start asking questions, a pattern emerges. Well, some retired Air Force Master Sergeant knew about them, and somebody's chief taught them how to make one, or somebody's dad drank them. And eventually the story circles back to Shepherd Air Force Base. Shepherd has trained airmen from all over the country for decades. It even pre-exists the Air Force. Before it was Shepherd Air Force Base, it was Shepherd Field. It was part of the Army Air Corps. My granddad was assigned there. That's how he met his wife and my grandmother, and that's how I exist. I think as a lot of these Air Force guys went out across the country, some of them took the red draw with them. Nobody advertised it. Nobody trademarked it. Nobody gave them social media points for sharing any of that. Nobody launched a marketing campaign. No influencer partnerships, no viral videos, just thousands of people all around the United States saying, you ought to try this. It's pretty good. And somehow a drink from Wichita Falls found its way into bars, garages, VFW halls, hunting camps, backyard cookouts, and who knows where else, which is pretty impressive for something that's basically just tomato juice and beer. It might be one of the most successful exports Wichita Falls ever produced. Now, that's not a knock on Dr. Phil or any of those other guys I mentioned. It's just that most famous people don't inspire strangers in another state to walk into a bar and say, you know what we used to drink back in Wichita Falls? But the Red Draw knows that. And if we're being honest, that's probably how a lot of great traditions spread. Not because somebody spent millions of dollars promoting them, but because somebody enjoyed them enough to share them. We live in a world where everybody wants to create something big, something viral, something that reaches millions. But most of the things that shape our lives don't spread that way. A favorite recipe, a family tradition, a piece of advice, a nickname. I've told you before, if I go to Wichita Falls, inevitably somebody's going to yell Cujo from across a crowded room. Haven't used that nickname in years, but back home it's still around. Things move from person to person, one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time, one recommendation at a time. Now, nobody knows for sure who invented the red draw, and we probably will never know. But decades later, people are still drinking them. That's an interesting legacy. And maybe that's why the red draw survived. It wasn't invented in a boardroom. It wasn't focus grouped. It wasn't marketed. It just became part of the culture. Like the Red River, like red dirt music, like red tacos at Casa Manana, like 1,000 other things that tell you you're in Wichita Falls without anybody having to say a word. Sometimes the strongest brands aren't brands at all. They're traditions. And if it's a hot summer day in Wichita Falls, maybe you should try a red draw. And that's today's Red Mike message. Hashtag Fun Friday. No big lessons today, just a little nostalgia, little pining for home maybe. I love you guys. I appreciate you so very much for being here. I'll see you again Monday. I'll be back to regular stuff Monday, I promise. But until then, don't forget, as always, life is short. Drink the bourbon.